Here's what we got with the Jeep Gladiator. Just as ingenious as the movie, because I hate that movie. You got a Jeep, add 2 more doors, then you're gonna add pickup truck bed. It's what a child would have drawn on his notebook in class.
I got an idea, Steve.
Yeah, what is it?
What if there was a Jeep and it had like a pickup truck bed in it?
Oh man, that's cool. I drew it. And then Steve goes,
Looks kind of lame.
yeah, I guess it is lame. Not the people at Jeep.
Nope, they made it.
They made it.
2 old friends, 2 opinionated blowhards who make the other laugh. 2 delights, 2 consternations. 2 up, 2 down.
All right, Jeff, I'm starting with a down today, and here's the down. I have a theory about how this works. I'm not sure because I've only ever had my body. I think that having a long foot puts you behind the 8 ball, as it were, when it comes to bedding, the sheets and coverings in the bed. So if my wife is lying on her back in the bed and she has a size 6.5 shoe.
Right. Negligible.
No problem. Easy concessions made for that foot. My foot is a size 14. When I'm laying on my back, my toes are pushing against those covers and all of the stress. I'm sorry to complain. It's painful.
Does it curl your toe?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes, it does. So you can either do the George Costanza swishing and swirling, and you can make a bunch of the covers so that your feet have room there, but you don't want that because one of my eternal struggles is having the covers high enough up on my chin because my feet are pulling the covers away from me.
You're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
That's true. I find that more often than not, Jeff, it's just easier to lay on my side or my belly. And when I lay on my belly, you know what I have to do because I can't do this. I mean, they're so long. I can't lay on my belly the way that my wife could. So what I have to do is kind of scoot down in the bed and have my feet hook off of the edge of the bed. That's how I lay on my belly. My down is foot struggles under the covers.
So I also have large feet. I don't know how this happened. I don't know what went wrong or went right. I used to be size 14. Now I'm size 13. I was legitimately size 14 in high school. And
I would take that trade.
I don't know if you also did this, but because at the time, bigger feet, you couldn't find shoes. Larry's shoes off 1960.
I remember.
And my father, he loved taking me to Larry's shoes. There was a salesman there, a short African-American man named Otis, who was the kindest. I could draw a picture of Otis. Oh, Mr. Davenport, welcome to Larry's shoes. He was, oh, here's Jeff. Oh, man, you got the big, and they were known to have giant shoes. And you'd go in there and I would get the big size 14, at Bo Jackson's. I think my Bo Jacksons were size 14s.
And do you know their claim to fame, why they had up to size 22 in every shoe in the store?
No, did Akeem shop there?
Because they outfitted all of the Rockets with all of their shoes. If I was in there, I was asking Otis for seeing Clyde Drexler lately. I want to know, so who's been buying shoes? Oh, Akeem come in, he buys some penny loafers, whatever. I loved it.
Otis was great. So I don't know why, but now my feet are smaller. I struggle with feet issues in bed, not to your degree, but as you're telling this, a couple weeks ago, a bunch of families went and stayed at a house up in the mountains near here. And
are you telling me a short story or is this part of your life? A few families got together in the mountains.
Yeah, it's a Hemingway. There's a shotgun involved, a depressed husband,
and melted ice. Melted ice is going to be important to figuring out who the killer is.
Who did it? Yeah. And it's also symbolic of a man's waning masculinity. So we're all up in this house because the room configuration, my wife says, hey, one of the rooms, a lot of the kids are going to sleep on the floor. One of the rooms has 2 bunk beds. What if we stayed in that? It would make it easier for other people. I'm like, sure. So we go in the bunk beds.
That's a never for Steven.
I did not know this, but bunk beds are made for children. It was like putting a pencil in a matchbox. I'm in this box with slats and I started running into foot issues. Because it was so tight, I was putting my foot as best I could in between the slats. And you're like, I don't know if I need to tell you this or not. It wasn't a good night's sleep.
I'll be darned.
It was a shocker.
Well, one of my demands, I hate to be high maintenance in any way. It's something I loathe. And yet, when there's a vacation house that's being looked at, I put my foot down at saying, I will not be in a bedroom that has a footboard in it. That's not happening. If the whole point of a vacation is to rest, that will be destroyed before we ever get there. It can't have a footboard.
There's not a time I walk into a sleeping situation and see a footboard and don't think of I will not, I cannot, I shall not have a footboard.
That's right.
I think of that often.
If you can ever figure out how you got your feet to shrink, let me know, because that would be desirable. A 12 would even be better.
I'm going to head downtown.
I'm happy to go there. Let's go.
The Jeep pickup truck. Someone took a Jeep and then crammed on a truck bed. This is the stupidest looking machine on the road. I would prefer an Aztec to the Jeep Gladiator. This is what it is. It's called the Jeep Gladiator.
Language.
I know. The Aztec, just mostly because of giggles. Who doesn't giggle when you see an Aztec? And so I looked it up. It's called a Jeep Gladiator. Here's the history of the Jeep Gladiator. Back in 1962, 1963.
Oh boy.
Jeep made a pickup truck. It just looked like a Wagoneer pickup truck. It was a nice looking truck. And then, I don't know if you remember this, but back in the 80s, unbelievably ugly Jeep Comanches. You used to own a Jeep. You had a CJ, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
CJ7.
Not the 6. That was for...
No, too small.
We like the Jeeps. We're happy about Jeep. There's something about Jeep that is so uniquely... It's a car toy. It's American. It just feels right. So when they monkey with this, I don't like it. First off, I was a little chapped when they took a Jeep and made 4 doors on it. They didn't even do it right. I often think most pickup trucks, and I'm about to send the hate mail, most pickup trucks look weird with 4 doors, I think. They haven't figured that design out very well.
You're right.
So here's what we got with the Jeep Gladiator. Just as ingenious as the movie, because I hate that movie. You got a Jeep, add 2 more doors, then you're going to add pickup truck bed. It's what a child would have drawn on his notebook in class.
I got an idea, Steve.
Yeah, what is it?
What if there was a Jeep and it had like a pickup truck bed in it?
Oh, man, that's cool.
I drew it.
And then Steve goes,
Looks kind of lame.
yeah, I guess it is lame. And then everybody gives up and they go, what a stupid idea. Not the people at Jeep.
Nope, they made it.
They made it. I'm not anti-pickup truck bed. Just hear me out. Don't cast me as one of these anti-pickup truck bed people.
No, I was about
cast
to,
me.
but then I didn't do it. Yeah.
I'm all for 4 doors. I'm not a 2-door purist necessarily. But if you can't make the design look appealing and look like you really put thought into it, I would almost prefer if there were 2 doors up front, pickup truck bed, 2 doors behind that. Like that might even look better. Wouldn't that be awesome? Everyone would, back in the, what was that?
That would be amazing.
Put the kids in the way back. There's like a little intercom system to go back. Everything.
Yes.
And the kids are keeping an eye on the lumber that's in the middle right between mom and dad and the kids. That'd be a pretty cool car.
Okay, Jeff, thank you so much for that insight. Unlike most things, 2 up, 2 down, I don't have an opinion. So
you have no opinion of that? You haven't seen one of those and gone, that's kind of silly. Come on.
I've seen him and gone, I guess that's an option.
But of course it's an option. If someone said to you, go to the Jeep page and you look at it, wouldn't that one be the dead last one you would possibly select for yourself?
I don't know what they offer. I can't say. All I can say is when they started rolling these out, it made me stop and consider it because you're looking at a dog with a horn.
Here's another car thing. We have a nice car inherited from my father. I love this car.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great car. It's got one of these things where when you sit in the seat, it goes, oh, I know who you are. And then this is how it's supposed to work. It never works this way. Many times I get into the car and the car went, not sure who this is, but and I'm like up against the windshield.
I didn't know that it guesses who you are.
Here's what it's supposed to do. You have 2 preset buttons. My wife.
That I've seen.
And me. I will get in the car and suddenly it's moving me.
That would drive me
having
insane. Are you trying to shoehorn 2 downs together?
I didn't mean to.
Well,
Speaking of cars,
that's a pretty good one. I've never seen that before, where it starts guessing.
it does sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't. I'm gonna try to video it one time. That'll be a little bonus for the folks into a small.
That would be
space.
great. If you will give us that footage, we will drop that sometime with no comment. We'll just drop that into our feed. Just
Subscribers only.
yeah, subscribers only. You get to see Jeff getting crunched up into the front of the car. My up is something that it's a movie. It's the kind of movie which takes me to a happy and pleasant place. It's a nice place. It's a pleasant place. It's a place that we enjoy. My up is the new Downton Abbey movie. I am 6'4", 225. I am a confident heterosexual. I have these loins of mine in my bathing suit area have produced children. I can lift a weight. I can hunt. And my wife and I both enjoy the new Downton Abbey movie. I think it's called The Decapitated Twin. It's something like that. It's like Downton Abbey, The Cruel Mistress. It's something really spooky. I forget what the subtitle is.
I think it's a new era, but that's fine.
That seems a little more milquetoast. Now, you and I talked about this a little bit, and I'm gonna run you down before you have a chance to defend yourself.
But folks, you need to know it's brother against brother. It's north-south.
We couldn't be more diametrically opposed on this.
Don't think this is one of these, oh, Jeff and Steven are going to go, what a great movie. No, one guy's going to go, it's a great movie. One guy's going to go,
It's a turd, man.
Your snooty, degreed opinion was, there is no drama without a transformation of character.
or stakes, I said.
And then I thought to myself, wait, what's that movie series that we really like? It's called the Trip movies. The Trip to Spain, the Trip to Italy, the Trip to Ibiza. I think they went to Xanadu one time. And it's Steve Coogan and Rob Bryson. And what they do is drive around talking to each other. We love that movie, and we will watch the next one they come out with. I don't think there's really a transformation of character that happens there. What's your favorite action series of your whole lifetime, Jeff? Could you come up with
Gosh,
that?
the Transformers, probably.
All
Or
the James Bond movies. You love James Bond, and I'm trying to recall what the big transformation of his character was in Octopussy. Let me think about it. Oh, there wasn't one at all there. I'm going to put this on you as well. What we like in a movie, watching these people do their thing. We like this arena, this kind of world that we get to sit in for 88 minutes and kind of go, this is a neat place. Oh, look how they have shot the Italian countryside on the trip to Italy or trip to Rome or whatever it was called. That's fun. Oh, I like these guys. I like how they interact with each other. It's not a great 3-act play with the stakes of the end of the world and the loss of friendship at the end of Act 2. It's just a lark. It's a fun lark. That's what the Downton Abbey movie was to me and my wife. It was, we like these people. Oh, might the butler find a new job somewhere else? Oh, what if the new valet likes one of the maids and they start, what if they start dating? It's a throwaway thing. And you know what? Many times, that's all I want out of a movie. I might be a little bit more adventurous on Memorial Day, but I'm sure that when my family goes to a movie, and I'm talking about extended family around the Christmas holidays, Knives Out is a great example of that's what I want to see in Christmas holidays because it's light fare, it's pretty to look at. It's kind of interesting. Oh, look at Daniel Craig do his foghorn leghorn. That's so cute and funny. And we all walk out and we ate some popcorn and we had a fine time. This movie, Downton Abbey, is Knives Out. They fit exactly the same need for me. Loved me some Downton Abbey. Loved it.
I think what you were describing, you could have gotten from just looking at the cover of the DVD box.
Oh, what a zinger from
zinger!
you! You really got it. Woohoo!
Okay, James Bond movies have massive stakes, and you're like, how is he going to figure this out?
The end of the world.
The Spain movies and the trip to, genuinely funny. Like these are people. I'm with you. I will back off on, and I repent of every movie needs to have big, giant character transformation. I get it.
They must have character transformation.
Here's what you're missing. Now, by the way, everyone's sitting here thinking, oh, Jeff's a Neanderthal who couldn't possibly appreciate a PBS show. I was way in on the Downton Abbey series. My wife and I watched all of them. I think maybe a couple seasons more than once.
I don't think this is highbrow viewing, by the way. I don't think this is masterpiece theater.
I think it was.
This is a really pretty soap opera.
But it was better written than Days of Our Lives. I mean, there was more subtlety to it. I'm saying, I'm not going, oh, it wasn't as good as Transformers. But the show was smart and had stakes, and the characters you were interested in because you kept thinking, are they going to get over these humps? These two movies, and I would put both of these movies, the two Downton movies, in the same boring part 2. There's just nothing going on. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess you could say it'd be no different than visiting a castle and walking around. That's not what I want in a movie. I expect something a little bit more in a movie. I never felt like there was any sort of real stakes. It was like all of these characters had already grown, and then they're like, what stories do we have left? I don't know. It's a Shaggy Dog story. It kind of at the end they go, oh well.
That's true. It is a Shaggy Dog story. I'll agree with that. And they do at the end say, it doesn't really matter long term. They do.
That's right.
They do that.
Maybe what we're arguing is I can't name another movie. I wouldn't put Knives Out in this category because Knives Out, your brain is being challenged the whole time. Like, ooh, what's going on? Oh, they just shocked me with something big. I thought this was this. Isn't it clever the way that Rian Johnson unfolded this story? Okay. Mm-hmm. I just can't name another movie that I would say I just really like watching it because it feels calming and pretty and nice. If I'm missing one, I'm willing to admit it.
Okay.
I get it. I think there are times where I don't want to watch something super involved or emotionally involved. We have friends, he couldn't watch movies. He said, I don't like it. I feel too much when I watch a movie. The only movie he could watch was Grumpy Old Men. And I don't know if he had emotional trauma growing up, but like anytime he'd watch a movie, he's like, I feel it.
It's like it's like Paul Schofield watching 21. Turn it off.
Turn it off. Turn it off. The lights, the pressure.
The pressure. How do you do it, Charlie?
Turn it off. Turn it off.
That's
yes, that's what this guy was like. And I think there are times where in my older age, there are times where like, we want to watch this movie. That feels like it's going to draw me in emotionally. I just spent my emotion today on work stuff, kid stuff, family stuff, whatever.
Yeah, totally.
I can't feel a bunch of stuff right now.
Yes.
Maybe the Downton Abbey fits the bill of how about we don't feel anything?
You're scrolling through Amazon Prime. You're kind of going Schindler's List. I know that's good. I know that it's and I know that you feel like a good person when you watch it. And I don't think I can do that right now. I don't.
Schindler's List is our byword for this because my wife has not seen it, and she's always like, "We could watch," and I'm always like, "I cannot."
Not a good time.
No, it's never. When is it? You know, I think I'm in the mood to watch Schindler's List.
How about Thursday on a vacation week when you're rested up, your mind is pretty clear. You might have had some prayer time. I don't know what you'd do you've had some long walks. We could do Schindler's List. I'm ready to be sensitized.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
engage there.
Life's pressures. I don't need more stuff to be sensitized to. I don't know.
I think my mom says this a lot. Like she's in her age. Like I don't need to watch anything heavy. There's a lot of heaviness in life.
And that's why The Price is Right is always on in her house. All right. Tell us your big ups.
It's Nikita Khrushchev's secret speech at the 1956 20th Party Congress of the Communist Party entitled On the Cult of Personality and Its Consequences.
So little appreciated by most people today. And I'm glad you've brought it up. It's not something that I wanted to mention, but I do have a couple of opinions about it. If you'll let me pull out my notebook, now we can get talking about the real stuff.
I was nervous about bringing something everybody's like, of course. But, you know, I've got opinions as well. And so
you can be populist at times.
I know I'm bringing coal to Newcastle. I know everyone.
I like that phrase.
Yeah, I do too. I'm like this really, really amateur dilettante history buff. our friend Mark Douglas, I'm sure if he was on the pod today, he might take exception with anything I have to say. He's much more steeped in all of this. But I love the Cold War. He likes
Bauhaus architecture.
I love the Cold War. I love reading books about the Cold War. I'm reading a fabulous book right now about the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's one of my favorite books I've read in a long time, called Gambling with Armageddon. And as I'm reading it, they mentioned this speech that I'd never heard of before. My business is speeches and presentations. So I'm like, I'm interested in this. And as I read a bit
you weren't
about
kidding about that speech.
No, I'm gonna double down on this speech. Get ready. I know.
I thought that was a joke, and now you're going to tell us the actual thing that is your up.
Nah, You come for the Jeep Comanche, you stay for the Nikita
Kruschev.
So let me just set the stage here.
Okay.
1953, Stalin has died. Khrushchev, through some machinations, comes to power. And in 1956, 3 years later, they're doing their big party congress. It's a bunch of communists all together in the USSR. They're going to get together. They're going to talk about all this stuff. And then word gets passed around. Khrushchev has a speech. Now, at this point, Khrushchev is the general secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. I mean, he's the big grand poobah in Flintstone language. The guy starts at midnight. He gives a 4-hour speech, not starting at 3 p.m., midnight to 4 a.m. Closed door, secret. Only a certain amount of people can be here. A few hundred are in there. This speech is so powerful. They do say people were taking heart medicine in the audience because it was so shocking. They say someone had a heart attack. And throughout, there was this indignation and loud rabble. And then by the end, everybody's just thrilled with this. Here's the general flow of the speech.
It's to the UN?
No. This is to the inner sanctum of the Communist Party in the USSR.
Oh. What could the leader of the Communist Party say to communists that would be so shocking that it would create that kind of reaction?
The title of the speech is On the Cult of Personality and Its Consequences. For 4 hours, so keep in mind, we've just come out of Stalin. Khrushchev comes to power, and for 4 hours, he runs Stalin down. He runs him down. He starts off by going, look, Marx, who we've built everything off of, did not want to be famous. All Stalin wanted to do was be famous. They warned us of a cult of personality. Stalin blew all that away. He reads letters to the group. Here's letters Lenin wrote about Stalin, about what a rude jerk he was, how rude he was, this guy's wife, rude about it, over and over again. All the thousands, yea, millions of people Stalin killed. And he's just going through all of these things going, let's actually talk about the things we never talk about. We've never talked about this one big thing. This happened here and Stalin did that. Let's talk about this doctor's plot. This was his scheme to kill all the Jews. Now let's talk about World War II. Does everybody know here? Every piece of World War II literature, he cast himself as the hero. He never went anywhere. He never made any decisions. This was all a lie. Then he goes, all the paintings of him, all of his biographies were all praising him and all that he had done. He had even put himself into the national anthem. And so for 4 hours, he eviscerates the guy who had come before him. And the reason guys are taking heart medicine is because they're going, oh my gosh, he's going to get us next. Stalin was always trying to kill it.
Right, he's going to kill us.
I was in league with
because
Stalin.
We liked Stalin. Yeah,
we were all agreement with Stalin. And the fact was, Khrushchev was in league with Stalin. He went along with a bunch of this stuff. And you can look at some nasty stuff that Khrushchev did, towing the Stalin line before this. Well, he's now going, look, this guy was awful. We put his picture up everywhere, the statues everywhere. We are done with that. We are changing things. We still believe in communism, but this Stalinist, fascist leader crap, it's gone. And by the end, every 4 hours, 4 a.m., the crowd is going nuts because someone has finally said what everyone knew, but for decades were scared to death of saying. This is probably, what's the word I'm looking for? Not anecdotal, but if it's probably was added to the story, apocryphal story. But at some point they say, again, I don't know if this is true or not, but someone yells out, why didn't you ever say this when Stalin was alive? And Khrushchev barks back, who said that? And the place just gets silent out of fear for what Khrushchev would do. And then he says, that's why. The idea being, we all lived in terrible fear. And so after this, they tore Stalin's pictures down. They renamed cities. They tore down his statues. They de-Stalinized the USSR. And from what I read, although Khrushchev did some nutty things, he was a much softer, nicer guy, and he stopped the killings. After that, he was like, look, we're not doing this anymore. You have a disagreement with me? we can talk about it. But this, you disagree, you're out. The reign of terror is over. I love this. What a nice little piece of history. And plus, it was a 4-hour speech in the middle of the night. What's also interesting is after this speech, they printed it up, but they didn't want it to really get out, but they needed to give it to some of the satellite nations. Well, there was this, I think it was an Israeli spy who got a hold of it.
I love it.
Nikita Kruschev.
Anytime you want to share with me great speeches of history, I'm open.
I don't know if you'll respect me more or less. I've listened to the whole speech. There's a guy who read the English version.
And does he try to punctuate it the way that Khrushchev did?
No, he's terrible at reading it.
Oh.
He's only good at pronouncing the Russian names really well, but everything else, no.
Do you think that maybe communism would work here? And what if we start in, say, New Hampshire?
I'm working it out in my home. I'm going to start it here.
You know, if charity begins at home, doesn't communism begin at home?
Begins. I agree with a lot of what Khrushchev said, not all of it. I have big photos of myself around the house.
That's
so
a good
the girls
start.
know who's in
running
charge.
Things. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
By the way, this is an easy layup to a movie that's not for everyone, but that I have enjoyed a number of times. Very different from Downton Abbey. The Death of Stalin. And it is a caricature of what happened in the power vacuum after Stalin died. Malenkov, Beria, and particularly Khrushchev. And it's not altogether accurate, but boy, you get a sense of just what an awful world communism is, particularly Stalinism was.
Nice job mentioning a Cold War adjacent movie. And I would like to throw in here, it's sort of related. It's a documentary that's presently on Prime Video, and it's called The Man Nobody Knew. And it's about the director of the CIA during Vietnam. It was made by his son, partially to try to get to know and / understand his father. Ooh. So he has all of these generals, all of these government officials who throughout their testimonies, which are shot like a normal high-end documentary, they keep saying, your father was very important to this thing. It's really interesting. It gave me a new understanding of world politics at the time and certainly the Vietnam crisis.
All right. What communist speech is your up?
All right, thanks.
Don't you have an up?
I did have an up. I shared with you my up. It's called Downton Abbey.
Oh, I didn't think that was for real.